Hey, how's it going, everybody? Okay, so this week's question comes from, it's a little bit of a long one, so I had to print it out. Gibblers 1996. Hopefully it's not Gibblers or something like that. Anyway, he asks, or she, I suppose. Hey man, love your vids. Very full of good to know and very full of good need to know knowledge. I just love the way this is written. Thanks anyway. I'm a 16-year-old comic book artist and creator, and I was wondering what are editors looking for in a person's artwork and writing? Thanks. And he hopes I answer. Well, first, what I'm going to address in this video is just the art. As for the writing, I'm not too sure what editors are exactly looking for in that. And to actually help me out with this, what I did is I asked this question to Stephen Forbes, and he's the editor for The Standard. And The Standard is a comic book that I'm working on with writer John Lees and a bunch of other cats. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk to death about it. But I basically sent your question to him since he is an editor, and this is basically the answer he gave. Just trying to wonder if there's anything else I should put in context there. Stephen is a professional editor. He has been paid to do it. He's done multiple projects himself. And I'll include in the link in the underbar as well, so you can find more information for him. Maybe you want to have him edit your work. And I'll be honest with you, since working with an editor, The Standard has been the first product that I've actually worked with a on-hands editor. And by that I mean he's in the process of sending in artwork, thumbnails that I'll send not only John the writer, but I'll send him work as well. That way he's got his thumb in every part of the production that I'm aware of. And I've had times where he's asked me to change things because it doesn't flow right, even though I thought it looked good. But there has been a couple moments where there's been like a little back and forth, a little tug of war a bit. But yeah, that's what the job of an editor is to be that very critical eye for things that some of the other creative team might not notice. So anyway, this is what Stephen replied with. Hey John, the answer is going to suck because it doesn't really answer the question. The question is simple. It depends. And here we go. We're going to get some good stuff right here. Besides being good, and in brackets he puts correct anatomy, good attention to details with backgrounds, acting professionally, being on time, and communicating, it really depends on the style of art being looked for and if that particular creator is able to produce. Before going into that, I just wanted to paraphrase a little bit what he's saying there. So he's saying outside of actually being a good artist and outside of being or acting professional, which is different. You know, there's a lot of people that can draw. There's a lot of people that sometimes you'll look at like an artist, and I think we've all been there. You might go to like Marvel or DC and you'll flip one of their Spider-Man books or something, and you'll look at the art and you'll say, oh, so-and-so is way better than this. How come they don't work professionally for Marvel? Or I draw better than this person. How come I don't go? And a lot of it could come down to the fact that they're more of a professional than you are. They treat it like a business. They're able to do deadlines. They're able to do things that are within their power, essentially better than you. Which sounds a little weird, but it's cool. You got to be able to. It comes from all over. You got to be able to address all that sort of things. And like he's saying at the end there, it really depends on the style of art being looked for and if that particular creator is able to produce. Okay, so just because you're really good, it might not actually fit a title or a project that any of these editors that you're shopping at might be interested in. And he actually talks about writing in the next one. For writing, the writer has to have a voice. They have to have something to say. It can't just be one big fight. There also has to be quiet moments, and the story has to have a point. When you're thinking of your story, building your world, ask yourself, is it what your character wants? What will move them from where they are at the beginning of the story to where they end up at the end of it, and what lessons they learned? Do not look to Marvel or DC for these types of writing lessons. And he actually put that in bold and capital, okay? Do not look to Marvel or DC for these types of writing lessons. Marvel and DC are never-ending stories. A single story arc will not have Spider-Man learn anything of value. Batman won't change appreciably at the end of an arc because he can't. If you must look to these companies, this includes any series that is long-running, where the character cannot change that much, then look to their limited series. Sometimes these stories are out of continuity, and as such, the character has a greater chance to learn and grow. So what he's talking about there in writing, and I think we could all agree with that, he's kind of touching on what just good writing is. And I think a lot of us that still collect comic books, I haven't really been in it that consistently, but when I did jump back onto Spider-Man, it's exactly like he's saying. There's always a villain that'll come on, and there's some big story arc or some twist But at the end of the day, Spider-Man's always Spider-Man, and he can't change. And I don't think we can knock him for that. That's just the engine, the marketing engine, and the Marvel and DC engine, and to a degree Image as well. But when you start to look at series or books that are graphic novels only, or manga especially, if they're only within a certain amount of books, those are good because those will actually show you story. And what just to paraphrase as well, what Steven's trying to say is, if you're a writer and you're trying to work with these big companies, they don't really care if you can really describe how Spider-Man beat Dr. Octopus this time. They want you to send them a story, and they want to be, I'm assuming, moved by the story. You know, like everybody appreciates good storytelling, and being a good storyteller is a good thing as well. Even if you're an artist, I think that's it's a big thing. I highly recommend, especially if we're all in the comics here, you know, and some of you guys and girls out there, seems like you follow me a lot in my comic work. Definitely start writing your own comics. Do little mini comics on the side. Learn writing. You don't have to be a Shakespeare. You don't have to be all these excellent writers. You know, you don't have to be phenomenal. Just write what you like, but it shows you another side to comics that you're probably not getting if you're just drawing. And I don't mean full-blown scripts. I'm just talking, go from a very primitive script to drawing it. It'll make you change the way that you see comic pages a little bit. At least it has for me. And try to quickly wrap this up here with 2 more paragraphs. He says, also look to very low-numbered comics for long-running series. This will also have a lot of character change and development. You'll see Captain America change and learn more in a 60s comic than in an 80s comic or a 90s comic. Read Bolts and Nuts. And really quickly, what Bolts and Nuts is it's a column on a website called COMIXTRIBE, and that's COMIXTRIBE. And fantastic resource for anybody that's into comics. They've always got columns, always got new content being put up there. Definitely check that out. Again, link in the underbar for that. So Steven is saying, read Bolts and Nuts. Build your reference library. Read things that aren't superhero comics. That's actually a really, really good point. Read things that aren't comics. A really good point. Bring all of those influences back so that when you can start to find your own voice and style. Continue to write. Seek out critical feedback from total strangers. Family and friends are emotionally invested in you, and they won't tell you the truth. And that's actually true, okay? Your mom and dad, they love you. They're going to say, you know, we support you, which is good to have that support if you can get it. But if you're looking to sell product, you got to sell to a stranger, okay? So try to find people that aren't in your immediate, we love you circle. But don't go looking for a-holes either. You know, I think we all have those friends where they're always better than you, whether or not they'll say it. They come across that they're always better than you, and they're not willing to help at all. I would probably stay away from them because no matter what, they're going to do the opposite that your family's doing. They're going to give you negative attention there. Family and friends are emotionally invested in you, and they won't tell you the truth. Strangers have no investment in emotions and will tell you what you need to know. This is the path to growth. So thank you again, Steven, for shooting this in here, and I recommend everybody go say thanks to Steven if you can. To wrap it up, I'll try to put a little sugar coating, I guess, for the artists out there, for what editors are looking for. There's been a few, probably around 2006, around there, I went to Chicago 2 years in a row, and I tried to shop my portfolio at that time to Marvel and DC. Both years that I went there, I was able to sit down with an editor. The way that it worked then, I'm not sure if it works now, is that you basically drop off a package that's like, I don't know, 5 to 10 comic pages, and you know, it's just photocopies stapled, and you put it into a giant pail, and you can finally see how many people are around that are trying to get a job. It's crazy stuff, and there's a couple times where I would drop that in there, and I would see the guy that I'm putting mine over top of, and it was like, whoa, this guy's good. Like, you know, makes you give you a little reality check. So that would be the first day, and then at the end of the day, they'd have a little posting on the wall saying if your name was on there, it's like 10 to 15 to 20 people. Come see us tomorrow, and you will sit down with an editor, and you kind of go back and forth and things like that. And you know, you can't help but think like if your name's on there, you made it, right? So for the 2 years that I went, I was fortunate enough to sit down with an editor both times, and they both said the exact same thing. Your anatomy's good here and here. You need to fix this anatomy here and here. Your hands are a little wonky. Sometimes your people look a little rubbery. Focus on your backgrounds. Shadowing and rendering, clean it up. Make things more clear. You know, but we like your stuff, but this and that. And it was a little disheartening, but at the same time, it's an eye-opener. It's reality, right? So what I could get from that is basically what Steven just said, is just be the best artist you can be. I don't think anybody really knows what editors really want, because if they did, everybody would get a job. Everybody would just make that package, make that the checklist, you know, you're like, oh, I need this, this, and that. Boom, there you go. And providing you're better than the guy beside you, the lady before you, you got the job. So nobody knows what the hell editors want. They'll all say we want the best, but nobody knows what the best is. And not only that, when is the best? You know, like when is it like my rubbery people? If I were to go now and go, hey, how do you like that rubbery anatomy? Maybe it's the new thing. Everybody's into like, you know, way blown out anatomy or something. I don't know. So you can never really tell. All you can do is just be honest with yourself, get constructive criticism. Don't destroy your self-esteem to get there, but be willing to take hits because it'll build your character up. And that works for your entire life and anything. Practice, 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 practice. And I think those are just general art tips. Yeah, I got nothing really else. One last thing I'll say again is thanks, Steve. There's a couple times, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, where there was a couple pages that I had where I had like my story flow that I thought was looking good, and he didn't quite get it. It wasn't clear. So what I had to do at that time is pitch to John, the writer, this is what I'm trying to get across. Does it come across to you? And again, there's a couple times where it's back and forth, but I mean, that's the beauty of the beast. I would highly recommend working with an editor if you can. If you can't, maybe you can get a friend or something to kind of look at. Maybe not a friend, because a friend's going to tell you that it's really cool. And you don't want people to just keep telling you your stuff is cool. Because if that's all it is, that's all you're going to think it's cool. And every now and then we want our art to suck, don't we? Because if your art sucks, it needs to get better. So yeah, thank you so much for the comments and the questions. If you would like me to answer another question next week, just leave it right in the comment bar underneath at the bottom, and I'll get back to you. And until next time, keep reading comics, keep making comics. Take care, you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.